Okay guys, quick update with Bitcoin. So we're going to see how high this can potentially go. I'm going to give you your most key resistance levels. Obviously, if we get above those levels and hold, that is bullish. The previous video, I made it very clear that this was the next point too long. And it had confluence on 3 charts. If you watched the last video, I will put a link up to it now. It'll be in the description as well. This was 2 days ago. So major move for Bitcoin soon. Bear market for indices has begun. We're going to cover that as well. But if you notice, this is the H1 chart. So I had 3 charts in confluence because once we test 111K, then it's possible we'll come back up. I explained why this was such a key level. We were in a falling wedge. This did play a little funky, but again, I told you your point to go long, 111,300, depending when you make contact. You know, that, again, when you have access to the charts, you know when to long, because when you make contact is when you long. I'm just telling you, if we hit here, it'd be 111,300. But notice I said this would be the point you long on the H1 chart. And you can see we found perfect support when we make contact was actually 111,700. So we got a perfect bounce. This is the D1 chart. Again, very same video. Major move for Bitcoin soon. Bear market for indices have begun. 111,000. I was marking off this line right here. So that's 110,900. If it's tomorrow, that's 111,000. Just showing you this line was in confluence. And as you can see, we found perfect support, 111,500 pushed up. Another chart, again, 3 charts in confluence. Previous high, so that's a lot of confluence for a bounce around 111,600. And I explained why. This is our previous high. We had fib line here, we had this line here. And as you can see, we held support right to the dollar. So if you watched the last video and you listened to what I said, you knew that was a 0.2 chance so long with a stop in profit. And well, you can write it up. Now we need to find out how high this can go. So I'm just going to give you key levels, and again, you can, hold your long if you want, if you already entered, with the stop and profit. But all I can do now is just give you the most key resistance levels. Most of you might want to hold your long, but again, I'm all about scalping. So I give you entries for shorts and for long. So we're going to cover the targets. In Discord, I made a post just clarifying what I mentioned in that video. Now that's what I call confluence, 111K area. Wow. So I actually had 4 charts all showing that that was a point to go long, and we got a perfect bounce. So I'm going to give you key resistance levels, and we're going to cover the Dow and the DXY. The DXY did drop a bit. Guys, we get leverage trading CoinCatch. This is a great option. No KYC, no VPN. They are having specials going on. You deposit $1,000, you get $5,000 back as a bonus. It's 30 slots every 7 days. They have lower tiers, deposit $500, get $1,250 back, bonus back. Sorry guys. I'll link up to this specials page if you want to check that out. If you do sign up and you use your bonus, do email me and I will give you free access to my charts and Discord. Let's just contact me through the website. If you want to use my referral link, I'll put a link up to that now. If you want to learn how to trade in CoinCatch, put the tutorial video up showing how to create your account, set up your account, transfer your futures, transfer money to your futures account so you can trade, and then how to use the tools to basically protect yourself. How to long, short, set your stop loss, as well as some other features like market order versus limit order, trigger order versus limit order, stuff like that. If you want to watch this video, I'll link up to it now. And of course, if you want to get access to my charts in Discord, this is a website. It's $49 a month to get access to altcoin charts, Bitcoin charts, precious metals, and Discord. Make sure that if you do sign up, you email me through the website, and I will send you a Discord invite link. I'll put a link up to the website now. I do have tutorials also teaching my charting method, and you can't pay with USDT, you just need to email me through the website. Okay guys, so let's just get on to this. So we caught a nice bounce here, and in the previous video I showed you why that was such a key level. And that's why I had that yellow line outlining this. I went back and I just watched the last video. I went into detail why this was such a key level. And I went way back. Every time we made contact with this line, we found, we caught a bounce. That's why I said it's very likely that we will catch a bounce. I covered all 3 of these charts in the last video. And every single one, there was confluence. And that's why I made that post in Discord. So now we need to find out, well, how high can we go? Well, all we can do, just like we knew that this was a point to go long based on previous price action, now we need to look at lines above to find out potentially how high this could go. I would like to point out, if we look at the MACD here, now this does look bullish. I mentioned this before. This is VSH underscore RSI plus. notice that we're testing, and I talked about this moving average, we're testing this moving average. So if we push above this moving average, which is no coincidence, we're right at that red line again. And I'm going to give you that resistance level now. Try to get this video up pretty soon. Wow, these labels are huge. All right, make this a little smaller here. Okay, so this is our major resistance level we're watching. All right, so if we get above 117,000, this is the line that goes, this red line goes back to 2017. If we get above 117,133 and hold as support, that is going to be bullish, especially if we push above this moving average, because notice when we're below it, let me show you what I'm talking about. When we're below it, we come up and we test it as resistance. We pushed above it a bit, but we drop. Came up, test as resistance, we drop. This time we pushed above it, right? And then held as support, and notice we pushed up. So then we went underneath it, hit it as resistance, and dropped. So it's important to find out, do we hold above 117,133, which is going to be very bullish, guys. That is your main resistance, 117,000, and that's close to the center of Bollinger Band on the daily. Now I can tell you this, you could connect these wicks. If we continued up, let's say let's just blast it off. If you connected those wicks, you know, that would give you a target of around 125,100, something like that, when you make contact. But I just want to let you know we're coming up on a key resistance, all right? Now we could wick above that, obviously. There's a line here around 117,700. But if we hold above this area, 117,000, that is bullish for some more upside. If we get rejected, well, we know our support level is now around 111,500. Your next support level below that is going to be around 107,356. So just wanted to point that out. Let's go to this chart here. You see we're at the center of Bollinger Band now. Let me give you a price note. Actually, let's make sure that's the right one. I'm going to do a price note here. So the center of Bollinger Band on the daily is sitting right at 116,652. Okay, and we are above this fib line now. Keep in mind this is the daily. All right, so there can be wicks. Always get confused here. Price label. Okay, so we are now above 116,182. So next daily open, so if we get a daily open above 116,300, according to the D1 chart, at least that is bullish. Your next resistance level I have all the way up here is around 123,200. And if we do connect these wicks, I'm just curious where this would end up. So if it takes longer, there is a lot of confluence for around 125,000, 124,000. But that is your next major resistance level. Take notice this top Bollinger Band on the daily. So again, pay attention to see if we hold above 117,000 or if we get rejected, because we're at a very key resistance. Remember, very strong resistance. While this would point to chance of short, if we hold above, well, then that strong resistance flips as strong support and we go higher. And you can tell if we go to this chart, this is the next key resistance on the hourly. And this is what I was talking about wicks. So if we push all the way up, this is the next point you potentially want to chance a short. Now, I'm not saying close your long. I'm not saying close your short. That's up to you guys. I just give you entry points. Your entry point was down around to go long was around 111,800 or 111,600. I'm just saying your next strong resistance. Now, keep this in mind though, guys. If we get above 117,000 and hold, that is bullish, okay? Just remember that. But we could wick up to 118,300 and then come right back down. If we stay above that point, 117,000, hold on the daily, especially if you get above 118,000, well, guys, that's bullish because that is a very key resistance level. And just like I showed you before, this you can see how well this line's been respected, this white line. You can see it was a lot of support all through here, right? You can see it was resistance and support. I mean, that line has been respected going way back. Resistance right here, support all through here. We broke it and we dropped. So you can see all of the support and resistance through here, and it goes further back. So I can tell you, just like the line we caught a bounce on, that is your next major resistance level. So on the hourly, pay attention to 118,300, depending on when you make contact, but pretty much just above us around 118,330. If we hold above that, then as I mentioned in the previous video, your next major resistance. Now I did connect our previous high at 100 and this was around 123,000, something like that. We had a top here around 122,328. We did blow past that, but again, there was a lot of confluence from 122,000 up to potentially 123,000. So if we do push up, so if we hold above 118,400, I look for a target of possibly 123,000, or we come up and we test our previous high just connecting these wicks. Let me go back and make sure. Okay, so you have those targets. So your current support, so if you are currently long right now, your current support is now this fib line right here, and that's around 115,000. And again, just go back. If you have access to the chart, just go back and look and see how well price respected those lines. Notice that in the previous video I talked about this was a point to go short right at 114,667. So we got a perfect rejection there. Okay, well now that's going to flip as support. So if you are long and you want to have a stop, well, I'd have my stop somewhere below this point, around 100, underneath 115K, because if we come back down, we hold support there and push back up. But I just want to make sure you have your key levels. If we did break 112K, your next support level, as I mentioned in the last video, is still around 108K. Remember, as time goes on, these price targets get a little higher because the angle is upward. So you have your levels on the hourly. You have your key levels to pay attention to. Again, if we hold above 117, 118K, we'll probably head up to 123K. Same deal, guys. Just pay attention. 117,000, a lot of resistance. Again, this is that line goes back to 2017. Above that, we're probably bullish up to test some previous highs. Let's see here. This is, and again, this was the other chart that I mentioned. Said 4 charts in confluence. We did a bit below it, but we did hold support. Notice the meat of the candles above. So your next resistance level in this chart. Now this is where it gets interesting. Now, as I said, this is that curve right here. I'm gonna give you a arrow tool here. So this is that curve that goes back to the beginning of Bitcoin. We held support here. I'm sorry, it flipped as resistance here. Then it flipped as support. We were below it briefly and pushed above it. Now, as I mentioned in Discord on the weekly, just want to show you this. So notice how, if I again on the weekly, you can see we got a perfect rejection right here at 108,586. We got another rejection around 109,146. We got another rejection around 111,900. Then it became support. Notice the meat of the candles above, right? So, and this is what I was talking about in Discord. If at any point we get a weekly open, and now this is what? This is Friday. So pay attention to see, and this would be in 2 days and 9 hours time recording this video. Pay attention to see if we get a weekly open below 114,300. If we do, notice that the meat of the candle is above this curve. Again, this curve goes back since the beginning of Bitcoin. These two candles here, the meat of the candle is above. Right here it's above, and we wicked below it down to the support trend line. So if we get a weekly open below, that would be bearish to some much lower targets. If we see it weekly open above, well, then we're bullish to some higher targets. But I would like to point out, as I mentioned, was the cycle topper in or not? That was a few videos back. But I would like to point out, these are targets to pay attention to. So if this just blasts off and we do get above resistance, which is very possible. Again, I mentioned 122,000. It's going to be a lot of resistance, 123,000. But these red lines, and I went over that video. I said if you want to go back and find that video where I talked about a cycle top. Well, these lines converge all around this area. So 124,000. Actually, let me get closer to price. So you're talking 125,000, maybe 126,000. So I guess what I'm saying is, if we push up and we hold above those key resistance levels I just gave you, then if we push up to around 124,000, 126,000, that'd be an ideal point to enter a short. Again, just scalp the hell out of this. However, if we do hold above 126,000, 125,000 as support, well, then we're going up to put in some, I mean, that's already a new high, but if we hold above those levels, then we're probably going to get another huge leg up like we did here. But again, I did cover how I found these red lines. It's just from previous topping structures, and this gave me these lines, and it was just, they just happened to line up right at 124,000. If you watch that video, I go into detail how I found those. But I just want to let you know, we're pushing above a key resistance now. as you can see, we'll see if we wick above and then come back down. Again, that's why the hourly is important. This is your main resistance on the hourly, so you could scalp a short at 118,300. But what we need to find out is, do we get a daily open above 116, 117,000? If so, then we'll probably head up to 123,000, possibly higher. But do pay attention to these targets. Again, I would love to short 126,000. Obviously, if that holds support, well, then, you know, hold that long, but that's just it. You don't know, you know, if you go short, when do you close it? And if you open a long, when do you close your long? So all I can do is give you the targets, and you have to decide for yourself. I think that if we do hold above this point, you know, the daily open above 117,000, that's going to be bullish. They're going to take out these shorts. I mean, the exchanges, you know, people open these shorts up here, and if price kept dropping, they just keep adding to the short, and you know, exchanges are losing money. So it makes sense they bring it up to get people to at least get worried it's going to take them out, so they close their shorts, or price just comes up and takes out those shorts. But right now, all I can tell you is, you know, in the last video I told you to pay attention to 111K area, and that was your support. Now we see how high this goes, and all I can do is give you clues, so we know that this is the area to pay attention to. We know that if we get below, if we next daily open or stay below 117K, then this is probably going to come back down. If we hold above 117K, well, then we can start looking at these higher targets, from 125K, 126K. So pay attention. About 8 hours, 39 minutes is the next daily open, but do not forget to pay attention to the weekly as well. I had this back on the daily, but if you go to the weekly, you can also look at the MACD, which looks like it could get across at some point. Now, doesn't mean it has to, but every time we've got a cross on the MACD in the weekly, we have a major drop. This happened here. So this could take weeks to play out, but again, something to pay attention to. If we got a cross on the weekly and we're below this white curve, that's going to be very bearish. As long as we're above that, that is bullish. And again, as I said, this is the level we're watching, because this is that red line, goes back to 2017. Let's cover the DXY. So as you can see, I mentioned in the last video, it said we were in the structure. Looks like, I guess this looks like a head and shoulders. It says your next resistance level was around 98.71. We got rejected there, and now we are below the support trend line. So it looks like the dollar is dropping, or is going to drop a little bit more. So pay attention, export level for the dollar is around 97.22, and your most critical support for the dollar is around 96.67. As I said, if this breaks 96.67, that is going to be extremely bullish for markets, extremely bullish for Bitcoin, gold, silver, because if the dollar gets below this point, that becomes resistance. The dollar is going to tank even more than it already has. The Dow Jones, so this is interesting, and as I mentioned in that previous video, actually for the past 2 months talking about this chart, we're getting very close to that resistance level. Remember what I said about this, you know, I said that the bear market for the indices has begun. People might say, well, how can the bear market have begun if we're still pushing up, putting in a new all-time high? Well, let me cover this one more time. So the next resistance level to pay attention to is going to be this ring, all right? And this is right around, and I mentioned this in the previous video, this is around 46,200. I could chance opening puts there, except I think this is going to go sideways and chop for a while. But as I said, once we come down, all right, so if we push up, which it looks like we are, and we test, again, this is the Dow Jones. Remember, the indices move together. So once we come back down and test this ring as support, this red ring right here, that'll be confirmation that we have tested the ring. We've already crossed it. We'll probably push back up one more time to take out, again, take out puts, and then, you know, the options expire over time. But once we test this ring again after bouncing, that is the point I will be opening puts, because I expect us to start moving down this ring. And once we test it, that'll be confirmation. So again, that's why I'm saying the bear market has started, and that is comparing this previous cycle over here. And I still have everything on the chart right now. Let me remove this so new people are watching, this doesn't look too confusing. So as I said, get rid of this and this and this. So again, just like I did that video a while back where I was comparing a cycle for Bitcoin the current cycle for Bitcoin to a previous cycle for Bitcoin. That played out. Now this is weekly candles, so this can take a while, but you can see what I'm talking about. When we made contact with this red ring, remember this is a global financial crisis, 2007, 2008. We pushed above it, held as support, pushed back up. That was confirmation. So that second time we bounced, that'd be where you open your puts, short Bitcoin, whatever stock, because everything's going to come down if this plays out. Notice we found support. We found support. And once we broke it, that's when we had that major crash straight down. So again, that's what I'm expecting to play out. And that's why I'm saying even if we push up, and also I even said I was expecting the stock market to push up, because we're going to come up and test that ring that I already removed that ring. But again, that ring was for a topping point around 46,200. So pay attention to that target. If we get rejected there and come back down and hold support on that ring, again, that's confirmation for me that we're expecting that ring, and that if we push out one more time, and then again we start moving down this ring, and as I said, that could be a 2 to 3 year long bear market. But we're getting close to that point, and again, that's why I'm saying possibly the bear market started. And remember, price pushes up because they want to take out a lot of people went short, and they've got to push price up, take out those shorts. But you have your key level, 118,300. Watch that on the hourly. Hold support above that. Well, we're pushing up to those targets I gave you, around 122,000, 126,000, and currently 116,000 or 117,000. Again, this is a very key level. You see, we're stopping at it right now. So if we cannot get above this point, then this was just to take out shorts or to get people or scare people that were short to close their shorts, and then we continue down. If you hold above 117K, then ready to hold your long or go long, because we're going to have some at least push up to test our previous highs. Guys, guess that's it. Again, if you get into leverage trading, CoinCatch is having specials. Again, deposit $1,000, get $5,000 back. All of these links will be pinned in the first comment description, as well as the tutorial and my website. That's it, guys. Trade safe, trade smart. I'm out.